Hey everyone, welcome to a new video where I'll guide you through the MAHOU TSUKAI mod. I'll explain all the scrolls, how to make them, what they do, how to get tools, and more. We'll cover how all the elements of this mod work. Let's start with the basics. As you can see in the top left, I have the MAHOU. This is like the mana for this mod. To display it, use the command /show MAHOU. This command lets us toggle the mana display on and off. There it is, /show MAHOU. We can activate and deactivate it. We also have the MAHOU TSUKAI Knowledge Compendium, made with 1 leather, 3 paper, and 5 red dye. It has an index with different sections you'll find in the mod. The italicized words are the various scrolls we can use. On the other hand, dark words are weapons we can craft. First, I present the dagger, our tool for any activity in this mod. It's made with 1 stick, 2 gold, 2 iron, and 2 purple dye. What does the dagger do? Right click it, though it looks like a weapon, it's not. Right click gives bleeding, press M to remove it and apply this effect. Let's call it a ritual. In options and controls, scroll down. I've assigned the M key here. If M doesn't work for you, use another key. I won't discuss keybinds again. Remember, the mystic code is Y. We won't use the menu. If you don't want to assign it, don't. We won't use it. Then we have selective displacement, which is the broken C. Configure it as you like. I'll show you the pestle and mortar. The pestle is made with 2 sticks and 3 diamonds. The mortar is crafted using 2 bricks and 1 diamond. Combine these to create the mortar and pestle. What's the purpose of the mortar and pestle? It grinds various ores into powder. Diamond, emerald, ender pearl, eye of ender, gold, iron, and quartz. These powders are used with the dagger for different rituals. There's also another tool called the hammer. How do the hammer and mortar and pestle differ? The hammer is made with 2 decoys, 2 sticks, and 1 string. When grinding, the hammer yields 1 powder, while the mortar and pestle give 2. So it's up to you which one to choose. Neither tool wears out or breaks, they're both durable. I suggest the mortar and pestle as you'll need lots of powder, making it cost effective. Now what about a tuner? They're crafted using 4 gold and 4 lapis lazuli. You can craft a tuner with a diamond or emerald to make a diamond or emerald a tuner. As you can see, they have capacity: emerald 5,000 5,000ths or diamond 10,000 10,000. When you craft it, you'll start with 0 10,000ths and 0 5,000. Right clicking these tools shows I have 1200 MAHOU. In survival, I store my MAHOU in the emerald or 2. As you've seen, MAHOU regenerates when used. Each use also increases the maximum by 1. 1217 is my current maximum MAHOU capacity. It adds up automatically, improving MAHOU storage. These tools are useful before we get a 10000 MAHOU time, so it's good to have them crafted early on. I've shown you how to use powders and the dagger. Now I'll teach you how to use MAHOU. The first ritual. By teaching this first ritual, I'll assume you'll know how to do any other ritual. You'll see it's not very complicated, so let's do it right. Take the dagger, right click, press M, and there's our ritual circle. Now we'll put 3 emerald powders, and we have this circle here. This circle, not sure if it has a name. Let's just drop any powder for a random one. I'll throw the worst. Quartz, bam. I get emerald powder. Throw it again, bam, quartz powder. Once more to show it's not always emerald. Bam, diamond dust. Again, diamond dust. Again, gold dust, iron dust, emerald dust. Okay? You see it gives random results. So what's this useful for? First off, using this will cost us 50 mana. You can see up there it uses 50 mana. I think it's 50, maybe 30, not sure. Theoretically, it's 50, okay? So we can't use this endlessly. Well, we can, but you need patience as mana regenerate. How can we regenerate mana? We can regenerate mana using a pretty cool spell. We'll take 2 emerald powders and 1 diamond powder and we'll grab a chest. We'll fill this chest with swords, for example. Let's use iron swords. They're easiest to craft. You can make an iron farm for this. We'll right click with the dagger, press M to place the ritual, then add 2 emerald powders and 1 diamond powder. This item on top of the chest only works there, and what it does is drain tool durability. Each time it drains durability, it gives or recharges mana. I've used netherite tools here, but you can use iron ones instead. What's this spell cloth? Spell cloth is made with a dagger and wool. Let's see how it works. What's it for? It's used to craft this item here, which is a scroll. There are tons of scrolls, just so you know. Let's start with this scroll, the Mystic Eyes of Facesight scroll. Right click the spell cloth with the dagger, press M, place the ritual on it, then add 3 powdered iron. Once we have this loaded with 3 elements, right click and we'll get the scroll. So how do you use a scroll? Basically, hold right click, release. And this scroll, let's remove shaders for a moment, will show us the fey lines, these lines here. What are fey lines for? Theoretically, you regenerate more mana in the center, plus you have more power, etc. It's like the ideal zone where I'd cast all my spells. As a side note, you can grab Elytra and use these lines to move around. See? The lines give you a boost. Keep that in mind. As you can see, the effect's over. You might say, 20 seconds and now I need 3 more powders to craft another. How can I make the effect unlimited? You can do it with the Mystic Coat, this item here. When you crouch and right click, you can insert a scroll. Here, I'll put in the scroll of Mystic Eyes of Facesight. This makes the scroll infinite, but not the mystic coat. What does this do? When you right click, you'll see this effect in my hand using the scroll I have. As you've seen, there are 3 slots. You can put 3 scrolls, and when you press Y, here you can choose which scroll you want to select. Here's the mystic ice. These are empty. Alright, how do you craft this mystic coat? It's made with 6 spell cloth, which we know how to get, and powdered diamond, which we also know how to get, plus 2 Fey Essence. How do you obtain Fey Essence? Well, it's quite simple. Fey Essence comes from the Mystic Ice Scrolls I just showed you. When I use this scroll, if we go to the center, I have a game rule disabling mob spawns right now. You'll find Fey entities, these sparkles here, which we need to kill. Once we kill them, they'll surround us, by the way. They'll drop Fey S. That's how we can get the Mystic Code. Okay, next scroll. The same process is done with gold, iron, and This is the guide scroll. The guide scroll lets us target a mob with right click, using up the scroll each time. It basically says remove guide. At first, it'll show that you've added it. What does adding a villager to guides mean? It means the villager will become, well, we can't hit it now, as it's under the guides effect. Being a peaceful mob, you can add it to guide. To add a mob to your guide scroll, it must be peaceful. This peaceful mob you can't hit will now give you mana. You'll slowly regen a bit of mana for each mob in your guide. Remember, you can't hit them. Next, I'll show you the Magitech mana circuit. This device, made with 6 iron and 3 emerald powder, helps us store mana in survival mode with a right click. Just like we could do with the gems here with these Atunet diamonds, we can also do it with this circuit. We can break this circuit and take it anywhere we want, no problem at all. As you can see, it's closed off to us, and it says powered off. When it's powered off, it means it won't use the circuit's mana. Like how we use the Atunet diamond when we're out of mana here, it'll start using the diamond's mana. It'll do the same with this circuit. If we set it to off, it'll stop using this resource's mana, even if we're out. If we set it to on, it'll use. The next scroll is made with 2 gold and 1 ender. You get this scroll, which when you right click, gives you this wand we're looking at now. What does this wand do? If you hold right click, it uses 50 mana or so. It lets you grab mobs like this one here and toss them away, throw them far away. Again, it uses mana. So there you have it. That's what this wand does. In older versions, if you were on a horse and used this tool to throw yourself, you could launch yourself long distances, traveling far with the horse. Today, this is no longer possible. Let's look at decorative items like the fog projector and MAHOU projector. The fog projector, I've set this one up to do this. I'll show you these ones here, which I've configured. As you can see, they can be turned off with redstone power, and you can basically have this effect here. I won't go into much detail here. Let me explain a bit about particle generation, the number of particles you want, and the radius. I've disabled the camera fog here because when it's on you see all this and I don't like it. So I turn it off. Here are the colors, and here are the colors too. That's why it's green, because RGB stands for red, green, blue. I have green at max, so that's why they're this color. Feel free to copy my settings. Then we have the MAHOU projector, which I created here. It's purely aesthetic, you can experiment too. I'll open the menu so you can copy it if anyone's interested. There's the menu for you to copy. Important things. Well, first I need to turn this off. Important things. You can use the MAHOU projector with any tool. Right click on the MAHOU, and now when you equip the tool, it'll have this effect. You might ask, can you do this with fog? I don't think so. So basically you can apply it to all armor. It's also decorative. How do you make the fog projector? It's made with 6 power dye, 2 redstone, and a spell cloth. The MAHOU is made the same way, but with powered gold instead of power dye. Let's look at the different scrolls. This enchantment can be done with a scroll or ritual. The Allen boundary scroll alerts you when hostile mobs are nearby. See? The chat just said a zombie entered your boundary. That's basically what it does. It's made with 2 iron and 1 quartz. We also have the Scroll of Displacement boundary. It's made with 2 iron and 1 end. It teleports entities that enter its circle away when you right click. It teleports them out of an area. Alright, we have this Scroll of Tangible boundary. It's crafted with 2 iron and 2 diamond. What it does is create walls. What kind of walls? If I get closer, you see this here? These are walls. I can pass through them, but mobs can't. It's a way to surround my house with walls to keep mobs out. 2 iron and 2 diamond. With 3 iron you can make this Scroll of Enclosure boundary. Basically this scroll creates actual physical walls. If I use this scroll out here, I'm not sure what'll happen. There it is, I place it. As you can see, the ground rises to form a wall around me. It wasn't very visible here, so I'll do it again. The terrain starts to rise. I think about 4 blocks total. There it is, making a wall around me. It's also a way to create a quick temporary base if needed. It was made with 3 iron. With 2 iron and 1 gold, we get the Scroll of Gravity boundary. This scroll changes the gravity of nearby mobs. As a zombie, you'll see it falls much faster. That's due to gravity because of this scroll. It's simply placed, and there you have it. For 2 iron and 1 emerald, we get the Drain Life scroll. As you see, these zombies died quickly because in survival, if a zombie hits me, you'll see, I take lots of damage and lose saturation. What this drain does is see how my health is dropping? Let's see if I die. Okay, I've avoided death. I'm at half a heart, and life won't regenerate. I'll spawn zombies in survival. Damage to them heals me, so that's what it does. It's a ritual, harming nearby mobs and healing us. It costs 2 iron and 1 emerald. With 1 gold and 2 end, you get the Ascension Scroll. What's this for? Well, right click and you go up, okay? So for that's what it's for. It lifts us to the block above us. This is useful if we're in a cave to escape, for example. Next scroll. 2 Ent, 1 iron makes protective displacement, acting like an enderman. If I use this now and summon a skeleton, switch to survival and let it shoot at me, you'll see that it can't hit me and I'll teleport away. I'm not teleporting much right now, and this skeleton's aim is pretty bad. There, I teleported. That's what this scroll does. For 2 Ent and 1 diamond, protective displacement lets you teleport to a fired missile. I didn't let it land here, but you can let it land without any issues. Now we have the TP made with a dagger and 3 Ent powders. You create 2 rituals and can teleport between them. To stop teleporting, just press the control. Otherwise, you'll keep teleporting back and forth. All processes use mana. Keep that in mind. If you can't use a process, the Atunet diamond gives extra mana. With 2 Ent and 1 emerald, you make a similar TP. But instead of teleporting alone, you need another entity to swap places with. That's what it does. See how you switch teleports? That's what it does. With 1 quartz and 2 Ent, you can get mental displacement. What does this enchantment do? It's like spectator mode, letting you see caves and surroundings. There's a distance limit, so motivate us. With the Poldred Eye and 2 Ender, you'll get this ritual here. When you place it, throw a name tag. In this case, name tag 5, and this villager here is called name tag 5. Once you assign this name tag and throw it at the ritual, you'll lose the name tag but gain the villager's vision. So that's basically what it's for. As you can see, he's lost his sleeves and looks like a caveman. Not sure why, but it's pretty funny. On the other hand, with 2 diamonds and iron powder, we can make strengthening. It allows an item about to break to have 3 more uses without breaking. You might say, what nonsense, what's this for? Well, we can combine it with the next scroll called Scroll of Projection, made with 2 diamonds and quartz powder. Right-click, aim at a netherite sword, for example, and it says Memorized. Once you've memorized an item, you can't memorize more. Just scroll to get the netherite sword. What happens then? You can use the netherite sword, then the strengthening scroll to have infinite uses. Also, if you remember, we had the mystic code. In the mystic code, if I right click and put these 2 scrolls, what I can do is, let's see which one we have assigned to Y. Select projection, right click, and as you see, it starts giving me swords. But if I now select strengthening, I have an infinite sword. I'll be able to use this sword infinitely. Why? Because when it's used up, I right click to regenerate its uses. It's a way to use this item. Another interesting thing, with 2 diamonds and 1 gold, we can make the scroll of weapon projectiles. If we hold right click, it will keep giving us this bow. Well, this bow shoots swords. Now for the magic trick, mystic codes with projection using this item called the Scroll of Projection. Basically put it in your left hand, right click, and you get a sword. And you can now shoot this sword with the bow. You see it uses mana. Each shot costs a bit of mana, but it's a way to shoot swords endlessly with bow weapon projectiles. With 2 diamonds and 1 end, you can make the crimson black keys of proxy. What does this item do? This tool allows us to, well, it has knockback 2 and deals 6 damage with 1.6 attack speed. But also, if we select an entity from this distance, it teleports us and we deal damage. Basically, it lets us teleport to entities and hit them directly. It's pretty overpowered. With 3 diamonds, what we can achieve starts to get pretty interesting. It could be the Scroll of Reality Marvel, which basically takes us to a what's it called? A dimension. There it is. And this dimension is covered in swords. How do we see? There it is. Sword of Shans 2. Diamond swords. This tells us they're enchanted. They all seem to be enchanted. Look, Shans 2 diamond, etc. There are tons of swords of all types. And you'll ask, how can I get out of here? Well, basically by hurting yourself. The best way to hurt yourself is obviously using the dagger. Theoretically, you should always have the dagger on you. You right click with the dagger, bam, you're out. There's no fall damage. You'll need to be a bit creative in how you harm yourself. Then we have the lake. Basically, if we do a ritual with 2 diamond and 1 emerald, we'll make this lake appear here. This lake has many uses we'll look at later. It's used to make all the final tools in the game, but explaining that now doesn't make sense without explaining the scrolls first. Next we have 2 diamond and 1 powderetai. This basically gives us the treasury projection gauntlet. How does it work? You'll need to have a sword in your inventory. It has different modes. First of all, single target. I aim at that wolf, and it starts getting hit by different swords. That one over there too. It starts getting hit by different swords. This wolf isn't taking damage because it's mine. Then we have chain mode. What does it do? It creates chains that damage all mobs. We can also trap them. Now it's finally taking damage. Then we have the AoE mode, which is basically the same as the swords. What happens is that it attacks where we're aiming, but it's area damage. And that's what the gauntlet does. Obviously it uses a ton of mana. So just keep that in mind. With 2 gold and 1 emerald, we can get the Scroll of Shattered Pain. Basically, what it does is share damage. It says it shares effects with 2 mobs. What does that mean? If I apply this scroll to a spider, for example, when the spider starts hitting me, I'm actually going to do it. I'd like to sit the dog down to avoid any targeting. We'll expose the spider and give it shattered pain. And what happens? If it hits me now, it'll take damage each time. See that? And eventually, it'll die. So, this is what the scroll is for. This can be useful in a boss fight, for example. Then with 2 gold and 1 diamond, we can get this wand. We can get this Mystic Staff of Explosive Wand. To use this wand, we'll need more potent mana charges. I have 1000, I think we started with 100. But we'll definitely need to use charged gems. What does this Mystic Staff do? This Mystic Staff can do various things, but mainly creates explosions. The first ability is this one. It's a beam you charge by holding right click. When released, it launches a massive explosion. The knockback was overkill, but there's the explosion. It also has an AoE mode. It starts launching mini explosions wherever we aim. There's also beam mode, which is a type of ray. It deeply destroys whatever we look at. Incredible mod I just discovered. What's this useful for? To explore, mine, uncover cave areas, and find more diamonds. To wreck a friend's or rival's city on a server with this mod. We now have the Scroll of Borrowed Authority, made with 3 gold. It basically gives us Hulk's powers. It grants us super speed. Also, when we hit, I don't want to hit a mob here, honestly, but when we hit a mob, let's see if I can find a mob. Okay, look. With this effect, I'll hit mobs so hard they'll fly into the depths. Basically, it's a bit like being the Hulk. To jump, hold down the click and spacebar. Try not to. It's tricky to jump, honestly. I won't lie to you. But yeah, that's what it gives us. Super speed and a desire to mess with pigs. So that's it. With 2 gold and 1 iron, we get the Scroll of Raw Alias, which creates a wall. What's this wall for? To bounce all mobs back. Why doesn't it bounce me? Because I need to be shifting to activate it. See this effect on me? It'll do this to all mobs. If you're clever, not saying others aren't, we can do this. Get on top of a shield. Crouch and you'll think, cool, it's a trampoline. The cool part is, if I make another, I can launch up, and if I make more, try not to overdo it. I'm using the scroll, but you should use the mystique. Just to be clear, I'm using the scroll to do it directly. But of course I can move wherever I want. If I want to move like this, I do, until I find water to fall into safely. As you see, I've moved all over the sky. I've moved quite a bit, so the shield uses a lot of energy. Do this, but keep it in mind. Thanks for watching the video. Next we have Pagan Heaven, made with 2 gold and 1 quartz. You create a polygon, forming different areas with these rituals, surrounding them repeatedly. You'll create about, let's say there are 4 points. 0.40. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything inside counts as points. All rituals inside count as points, and based on the total, you'll apply negative effects to those outside the Cup of Heaven, inside the sky. Outside, you'll apply poison, weakness, blindness, slowness, flight, levitation, etc. It's a bit more complex than I've explained, so check it out, but that's how it works in short. Lastly, we have the Scroll of Mystic Eyes of Binding, made with 2 powdered eye and 1 gold. You apply it to a mob while it's looking at you and it won't be able to attack. Next is the Scroll of Mystic Eyes of Clairvoyance, made with 2 ender and 1 quartz. It lets you see the mob's pattern when applied. This scroll, made with 2 ender and 1 diamond, creates Blackfire. Blackfire gives you a sort of escape effect. Then there's the Scroll of Gander, made with 1 gold, 1 diamond and 1 emerald. Apply this to a player or mob, and damage is based on mana difference. It also removes negative effects. If you have Blackfire on and use the scroll, you'll get this spell or enchantment. It's pretty cool. Then we have the Scroll of Death collection for collecting souls. As you can see, it's made with 2 end and 1 iron. Basically, when you kill a mob or see one die, it collects souls for you. These souls can help us prevent our own death when we're about to die. Next is the Scroll of Mystic Eyes of Reversion, made with 2 eyes and 1 emerald. It removes all positive buffs from the target. Then there's the Scroll of Mystic Eyes of Insight, made with 2 eyes and 1 ender pearl. This scroll lets us see the effects on a mob. For example, if a witch has fire protection, we can see that fire resistance. We also have Summon Familiar, crafted with 3 quartz, which lets us summon a familiar. Here they are. This is the familiar. It's a scroll made with 2 quartz and one that lets us recall or summon the familiar. We have this scroll made with 2 quartz and 1 emerald that allows us to swap our TP with the familiar. It teleports us to the familiar and vice versa. The Scroll of Shared Vision lets us see through the familiar or any other mob, allowing us to view what the chosen mob sees, as you can see here. We can exit this view with a right or left click. The Scroll of Familiar's Garden protects the bird from damage. You might ask, what else does the familiar do? Well, the familiar explores new areas, reporting what it finds, like hostile mobs, etc. Basically, it keeps us informed about a ton of things. Next, we have this butterfly effect scroll made with 2 quartz and 1 diamond that basically stores interactions. I've used it here. Basically, it's used like this. For example, I'll take a netherite sword and start hitting here. I strike once here and once over there. And then I place a few around, facing different directions, but all towards the center. What'll happen next? When a zombie appears, it'll move and get hit by the netherite attacks when crossing the butterflies. Let's see if it works. Alright dude, watch. I'll push it. Let's see if it hits any. Look, it took damage and the butterfly died. So basically, it stores interactions. It can also store other actions like breaking blocks. Basically, interactions activate when a mob steps on them. Then we have the scroll of damage exchange, which essentially swaps the damage dealt. I'll double check it just to be sure. Look, when used, it converts damage taken into mana for a set number of times, and it'll cost 40 mana per use. It's actually quite delayed. Now we have some rituals, like the Chronal Exchange, made with 2 emeralds and 1 quartz. For 12 hours, it generates 10 mana at a time, then goes negative for 12 hours, meaning it'll randomly drain 10 mana from us. Bit odd, bit useless. Then there's the Alchemical Exchange. It basically converts the block beneath it. It's crafted with 2 emeralds and 1 gold. It states, for example, that dirt will turn into sand. Diamonds will be transformed into emeralds. They must be natural blocks of the same type. In other words, one mineral will transform into another mineral. A material like dirt will change into another natural element. One type of wood will turn into another type of wood. And it says, this won't work on blocks like bricks or diamond blocks. Why? Because they're crafted blocks, not natural blocks. Then we have the contract made with 2 emerald and 1 ender. Basically, when 2 players create a contract, it ensures that when one player gets a positive effect near the contract, the other gets it too. The only way to break this contract is by hitting the other player or destroying it. The deal itself is valuable. Next, we have the Scroll of Immunity Exchange. The scroll's target won't take damage from various elements. An elemental damage scroll doubles damage from a different element. For example, if I hit you twice, only the first hit damages you, but fire would deal double damage. Then there's the Scroll of Retribution made with 1 diamond, emerald, and 1 iron. It swaps the life percentages between 2 players. If I have 3% health and the boss has 100%, using this scroll will result in the boss having 3% and me having 100% health. We also have the Scroll of Presence of Concealment. It's crafted with 1 diamond, 1 iron, and 1 ender pearl. When used, it gives you 2 reapers. The reapers are placed on the left and right sides. When it lets you run faster, right-clicking turns you invisible and creates this fog. If you have shaders, you might not see this fog. I mentioned this for multiplayer, and it gives invisibility. Also, hitting a player from behind with reapers will deal a bit more damage. We have the Purious Mob, which is the Scroll of Falling Down. It's made with 1 gold, 1 iron, and 1 ender. It's a bit silly, but it starts burying the mob you're looking at. In other words, it modifies the terrain. Then we have the Switch Places scroll. It's made with some ender, and emerald. It lets us swap positions with an entity we're looking at. For example, I look at this villager and press the button. I activate the effect, look at it, press the button, and it swaps our positions. But if I want to swap 2 things that don't include me, I press the lock, hold it, look at the villager, release it, and there we have the exchange. Alright, with this we've explained most of the scrolls. I'll explain the Kodoku made with dirt, carrot, potato, netherwort, rotten flesh, and a poisoned potato. Basically, the Kodoku is bugged for me somehow. I'm not sure if I'm doing it wrong. But essentially, you have a wolf, put a Kodoku on it, and when the wolf attacks and kills another entity, the Kodoku will gain more. It'll level up, increase in rank. You can also level up the Kodoku by helping it kill other mobs. And when a mob is low on health, the Kodoku... Let's take this sheep. It'll start eating the sheep. There it is. See how it's eating it? Well, this is basically another way to increase its value. For some reason, it's not working for me, but I guess it's more complex. Then we need to go to the ley lines once we have the Kodoku and use Farsight. It was this element here, Mystic Eyes of Farsight. Go to the ley lines to the center and the Kodoku. Basically, we burn it, and when we do, they'll give us more mana, a higher mana limit. It's kind of pointless since you can get it in many other ways. Plus, the Kodoku is a bit annoying to make. Remember, the lake was made with 2 emerald, 2 diamond, and 1 emerald, right? So now we know if we go to the final part, which is the lake part, okay? Let's explain the first step. Take a Smite 5 netherite sword and throw it in the lake, got it? This netherite sword will turn into a Caliburn, as we're seeing. It's crucial to have high mana charges, okay? The Caliburn shows an innate cap, the max damage it can do, of 100. Right now it does 13 damage. How can we increase it? Well, basically by enchanting it. With what enchantment? With Smite 5, okay? Enchant it with Smite 5, then throw it in again, and it resets there. Now you see, it'll do 18 damage. That's how you increase the damage. On the other hand, if you want to raise the innate cap, instead of it doing 100 limit to flames, throw a nether star and the Caliban with smite 5 enchanted, okay? Now you'll see that the damage and the innate cap have increased, alright? Well, the Caliban is mainly used for hitting and not much else, okay? I don't think it has any other effect beyond that. If you get a wolf as your pet, okay? Let's tame it and kill it with the Caliban. You'll turn the Caliban into a Morgan. Important stuff. You can't change the Morgan's innate cap, but you can increase its damage by killing innocent mobs like villagers, for example. Now it has 23 damage. If I try to kill this villager now, I can't kill it because I have the guides. Okay. Let's remove the guides I showed at the start. There it is. We remove it, kill the villager, and now we have 23 with 2, and now 23 with 8. Got it? It's basically increasing. Now what interesting features does this tool have? If you right click, you'll get this orb. This orb drains life from nearby mobs, okay? There weren't any mobs nearby now, but it takes life from nearby mobs by sucking their souls, so to speak. Got it? Alright, we have the Clarence, okay? You make this with a diamond sword and a scroll of strengthening. Put the diamond sword in your left hand, right click, okay? As you can see, the strengthening will be applied to the sword. Got it? Now we need to go to the end, face the Ender Dragon. The Ender Dragon occasionally shoots its projectiles. As I was saying, I don't know if you've noticed. I hope you have. Honestly, I'm going to switch to survival mode. Incredible move. I'll teleport for a moment. There it is. Let's see if it throws one of its balls. Once it does, we'll use a Clarence, the diamond sword with strengthening. Important. We can't hit with this sword, or it'll lose its effect. What we'll do is right click on the dust on the dragon's breath. Let's see if it throws a ball. There it goes. There it goes. Basically, when it throws a magic ball, we right click with the sword, okay? We'll convert Clarence. Right clicking Clarence will absorb all damage. If the last hit dealt 20 damage, when we strike, we'll deal 20 damage. Got it? It's essentially a counter for any tool. Let's see it in action. If we apply the scrolls of strengthening to a stick and get struck by lightning, we'll turn it into an embrace. The embrace, when right-clicked, lets us summon rain and a lightning button. That's its only function. I've put a netherite sword here. The embrace must be in the left hand. Next, we have the shield. We'll need a shield and to collect over 100 souls. Souls were obtained with the Scrolls of Death collection, which I showed you how to cast. We'll need Scrolls of Strengthening, Damage Exchange, Immunity Exchange, and Good Armor. Let's put on all the armor. Let's grab a zombie. Now we apply Strengthening to the shield. Use Damage Exchange. See 5 stacks top left and use Immunity Exchange. Now we need to press R, equip the shield in our main hand and use it for protection. The shield will transform into a replica. The replica, when right clicked, sends mobs flying away. This shield is quite overpowered as it repels all mobs in a blast wave and protects from all damage. Lastly, we can also craft the Rule Breaker. To craft the Rule Breaker, we'll need various items as shown here. This ritual uses diamond, gold and quartz. First, you throw down Chorus Fritz, then grab the Scroll of Probability Altar, made with these items plus Spellcloth. Place M, this, that, and this. Right click, and you've got the scroll. Right click and hold to use Chorus, creating a Rule Breaker. It has a dividend of 0 and square modules. If we want more modules, we just need to throw more Chorus Fritz. I think you have to throw Chorus Fritz individually at each one. You throw Chorus Fritz, use Probability Altar, and now the tool has 8 modules. How does this tool work? This tool will affect any element of probability. For example, let's say when using Embrace, there's a 0.1% chance of lightning striking here, or in a specific location in the same spot. The Rule Breaker will select one of 20,000 possibilities and always use that probability. So if I use Embrace and right click with the Rule Breaker, I apply Probability Alter and use Embrace. You'll see the lightning always strikes the same spot due to equal probability. Now if I right click with Control, I can change the dividend and alter the location or probability. The lightning's striking there now. Let's try to change where it lands. Wait for probability alter to end, reapply it, and you'll see the lightning strike a different spot. Well, it doesn't drop. I guess there's a small chance it won't drop. Right now I'm using the Embrace without it dropping. Let's try again. Right click. We're now with another dividend. Let's see if they drop. It doesn't drop. Interesting. Let's do the same thing again. Right click. Let's see if the Embrace drops now. Now, as you can see, it drops in a different spot. It's closer now. Okay, so if we set a probability when killing a zombie, like getting 2 rotten flesh, it'll happen every time. But if we set it to drop an iron ingot with the probability alter, we'll get 1 each zombie kill. This works the same for fortune, diamonds, or any other probability in the game. That's all there is to say. This covers everything about the MAHOU TSUKAI mod. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you in future videos. Bye bye.